Tennessee has a brand new state book. They actually have several state books, and one of them is the Bible. And not just any Bible, but a specific one. And I want to talk about that because this is something Republicans in Tennessee have been working on for over a decade. They have been trying to make the Bible the official state book in Tennessee since like 2015. Never figured out how to legally make it work, and they just figured out how to do it this week. And here's a quick recap. In 2015, there was a state representative named Jerry Sexton, and he filed a bill to make the Holy Bible the official state book. And it didn't work because even though it passed in the Tennessee House, the Senate chose to ignore it. And the reason is because the attorney general at the time was like, you guys, this is unconstitutional. You cannot make the Holy Bible the state book. So the Senate did nothing with it, didn't happen. In 2016, the House and the Senate passed basically the exact same type of bill. But at the time, the governor of Tennessee, Bill Haslam, he vetoed that bill in 2016. Why? Basically because the attorney general was like, you guys, it's still unconstitutional. So he vetoed the bill, and good for him for doing that. And thankfully, Republicans in Tennessee didn't have the numbers they needed to override the veto. So that's good. In 2021, there was another effort to make the Bible the state book. That one failed. And that was in part because the lieutenant governor of Tennessee, a Republican, Randy McNally, he said something counterintuitive. He said, we don't want to make the Bible the official state book because, like, we have a state flower. Why would we want to put the Bible on the same level as other random symbols? So he's like, by making the Bible the official state book, you're actually degrading the Bible. And so that bill in 2021 didn't get the votes it needed to pass. So Jerry Sexton, the guy who was pushing for this for so many years, he has now retired. He's out of there, but Tennessee is still overrun by Republicans. And this year, they tried passing a bill. It was House Bill 1828, and a different group of people tried passing this one. And you could see in the highlighted bit right up there, I'm going to show you this. On April 16th, this week, it was signed into law by the governor. This one passed. This one got the job done. And basically, the state representative and the state senator who sponsored this bill, here's what they did to get around the pesky Constitution. They did not make the Holy Bible the official state book. They made, check this out, this headline right here. Here we go. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signs bill making the Aitken Bible an official state book. And I know you're wondering, what is the Aitken Bible? Didn't that guy like almost win American Idol? No. The key word in this headline is an official state book, because what they did is they said, we want to make a bunch of things the state books, plural, and the Bible's going to be one of them. And that's how they're getting around this. So I want to show you this bill for a second. We'll get to the Aitken part in a second. But here's the list. Here's the list of what they are saying are the official state books of Tennessee. And look at this. Tennessee Code. This part of the Tennessee Code is amended. We're going to add a new section. The following are designated as the official state books. Let's go through these one by one. Number 1, Farewell Address to the American People, George Washington. Why is that on the list? That's a speech George Washington gave. Has nothing to do with Tennessee. It's not even a book. Why is that on the list? I don't know. Number 2, Democracy in America by Tocqueville, the French dude who wrote back to France about how cool American democracy is. Again, what does that have to do with Tennessee? I don't know. That is a book, but like, why would you make that the Tennessee state book? That doesn't make any sense. We'll get back to the Aitken Bible, because this is what this whole bill is all about. Back to that soon. What else we got? The Papers of Andrew Jackson. Okay, they're housed at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, so there is a Tennessee connection, but also, like, why do you want to honor Andrew Jackson? Isn't that like the Trail of Tears, dude? Like, he's on the list of all the bad presidents. I don't know why you want to pretend like this guy's a good dude. He's not the president you want to honor, so weird, but at least there's kind of a connection. But by the way, that's not even a book. That's just his papers. Roots by Alex Haley. Alex Haley was a Tennessean. Roots is a classic book and then a classic miniseries. That one makes sense. That alone should be the Tennessee State book. What else we got? Death in the Family by the playwright James Agee. Fine. All the King's Men by Robert Penn Warren. I'm pretty sure Robert Penn Warren's more of a Kentucky dude than Tennessee, but okay. That's a book at least. You got American Lion by John Meacham. Fine. The Civil War, a narrative. It's a history of the Civil War by the historian Shelby Foote, who I believe was a fan of the Confederacy. I'm not sure why you want to honor him or Andrew Jackson, so that's weird. And then look at this one. Coat of Many Colors by Dolly Parton. Here's the thing. I know it's Tennessee. I know it's Dolly Parton, who is all about Tennessee, has Dollywood in Pigeon Forge. Nashville's obviously in Tennessee. I get why you want to honor Dolly Parton. But that book, Coat of Many Colors, that's not a famous book. That's a kid's book. That's just a random book that Dolly Parton put out. Like, there's no reason you would make a random book put out by a celebrity a few years ago your official state book. Here's the reason they put that on the list. You can quote me on this. The reason they put that on there is because if anyone votes against this bill, there will be ads against you that say, you voted against Dolly Parton. How dare you in the holy state of Tennessee? That's why they put that book on the list. So, like, the thing is, this is a dumb list. There are a couple books that you can argue deserve to be on there, and they would be fine symbols as the Tennessee State book. But most of them have no business being on this list. You know what I mean? You could have also, where's Cormac McCarthy? There's a famous author who's from Tennessee. Why aren't any of his books on the list? I don't know. It's a padded list to hide the Bible in it. That's why they put together that list. Okay, so let's get to the other question. What is the Aitken Bible that is on this list? And if I scroll up here, you could see their explanation of it. The whereas clauses. Check this out. Whereas on September 12, 1782, the Congress of the United States approved the printing of the first American Bible. When the American Revolution began, America stopped trade with Britain, cutting off our country's supply of Bibles and causing the printer for the Journals of Congress, Robert Aitken, to publish the first American Bible, also known as the Aitken Bible. Whereas Tennessee is home of the largest publisher of authentic reproductions of the Aitken Bible, the Aitken Bible Historical Foundation. Tennessee is also home to 3 of the 5 privately owned original first American Bibles remaining in the world today. Okay, that stuff is true. I don't know why you want to brag about, like, hey, we are home of the biggest publishers of the copies of this book from a few hundred years ago. That's a weird thing to be proud of, but okay. But all right, fine. There's some vague historical connection. The Aitken Bible were like, those were the first Bibles printed in the US. Fine. But there's a reason the Aitken Bible is on this list specifically. And the reason is that it's a prop that, like, Christian pseudo-historian David Barton, who I mentioned earlier, he has been using the Aitken Bible in his presentations for so many years, okay? He has been fighting to get that Bible in everyone's head. In his telling of the story, the Aitken Bible was printed by Congress and intended for use in public schools. That's what David Barton says. He also says, like, see, Congress printed it. It's for use in schools. Therefore, we should get the Bible back in schools. That's why it's famous that they've been saying all this stuff. And the thing is, here's what you should know about the Aitken Bible. And this is written by Chris Rada, who's been doing so much research on David Barton over the years. Barton's bogus claim about this Bible, it was printed by Congress for the use of schools, proof that the founders never intended a separation between church and state. Needless to say, Glenn Beck and his audience, who hosted David Barton, they are just eating this stuff up. What Chris Rada writes in that essay and her books is basically that the argument that it was made for use in public schools, Congress didn't say that. Robert Aitken wrote that in the margin of the book, like, we can use this in schools. And that was it. Like, no one cares what he wrote in the margin. It wasn't for use in public schools. But David Barton has been lying about that for years. What about the argument that Congress printed these Bibles? No, they didn't. Robert Aitken basically went up to the government and the Congress confirmed this is an accurate representation of the Bible. But Congress did not buy copies of it. They did not print it themselves. They didn't pay for it to be published. They just said, yeah, that's the book. And if you want to print the Bible, that's the Bible. And so Robert Aitken published it. Like, there's really nothing special about that book. The only reason people in Tennessee are now codifying it into law here as the official state book is because David Barton has spent so many years promoting the Atkin Bible as evidence that we are a so-called Christian nation. It's practically canon in the world of Christian revisionists and Christian nationalists. That's why it's now an official state book. Its inclusion on that list is a slap in the face to other deserving authors and deserving books on that list. But because its inclusion is cloaked in secular language, and because it's only one of many books on the list, you're probably not going to see any lawsuits over this. I do find it interesting that on that list of Tennessee authors, you have one woman, Dolly Parton, who should not even be on the list. You have one author of color, Alex Haley, with Roots, who alone should be on the list. It's not a really diverse group right there. If anything, Tennessee doesn't need stronger connections to Christianity. It needs a lot less of it. But this is how they finally got the Bible as the official state book after a 10-year attempt. All right, going to pause there for some questions. I had a couple other short stories I wanted to talk about, but that's it there. Collection of book with a Bible as one of them. Sneaky. Yep, it's a collection of books. The Bible is on that list. And again, most of those things should be on the list. So really, they wanted just the Bible. They couldn't do that. So this is the way they're getting around it. It's like putting up the 10 Commandments, but you can't just put up the 10 Commandments. So you do what they did in Texas, which is, well, we're putting up a bunch of monuments, including the 10 Commandments, and now it's legal. I'm sure everyone in Tennessee are so stoked that their elected officials are using time and taxpayer money on this. Yep. And right now, I believe they're in the process of trying to pass a bill to give like hundreds of millions of dollars to vouchers so kids can go to private Christian schools and siphon that money away from public schools. Like, they're just, these Republicans in Tennessee are doing everything they can to make it worse for people in school. I think they're also considering a bill to arm teachers, which I promise you, teachers do not want to come to school with guns. Just a bunch of idiots in that legislature. And then like 4 Democrats who are amazing. Can't help but think Alex Haley, the Alex Haley one only came about because someone was looking at their list and thinking maybe we should find something so people don't lambaste us for having only books from white men. I think you might be right. And then they're like, oh, right, Dolly Parton, throw her on the list too. That's probably what they did. I'm surprised they didn't use the Trump Bible. I wonder if they wrote this bill before the Trump Bible came out. Because, yeah, it's entirely plausible. It's Lee Greenwood. I think he has connections to Nashville, even if he's in Branson.